Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another movie review for the month of Halloween. We'll be doing the sequel to Hotel Transylvania 2. Now you can check out my Hotel Transylvania, the original, not original, just the part one, up on my channel, youtube.com/Talkative Carl. You can follow me on my other channels, Twitter, same name, Twitch, and Patreon. Links are in the description. And yeah, I did post a video of Hotel Transylvania Part 1 and gave my thoughts on that. Now we're on to the sequel, and probably like a very legit sequel. And man, I mean, if you guys want at some point in the future me doing a review for the third, fourth, and possibly a fifth one in the future, please leave a comment below. And if enough requests comes in, I will do it at some point. Well, but I'm not too eager about that. But yeah, this picks up like a year after the events, at least. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like a year after the events of the first one, where eventually Mavis and Johnny get married. A lot of people reprise their roles here from the previous film, with a few additions. Mavis and Johnny eventually get engaged and then married. It's like a beautiful, like weddings, kind of like it almost feels like a wedding, like somebody like was doing like had a Halloween themed wedding, and it looks really good. I honestly say I don't know. I'm pretty sure somebody had to do it, but I don't know if anybody ever came up with the idea of making like a Halloween themed wedding. That seemed like a good freaking idea, you know. But anyway, they get married. Then another year goes by when they eventually, start, like when they, Mavis has, was it found like, she's pregnant, and like Dracula's excited, like, hey, like I'm gonna have like an heir to like the Dracula name. They end up having a boy named Denisovich, Dennis for short. But then, like, you get to see, like, the whole trope with like new parents. They they want to make sure they baby proof everything. And again, certain gifts like baby's first guillotine, and I think Eunice was the one who gave it, as a gift. And it's like, oh, I just gotta baby proof it. So while you lose a finger, that's part of the fun. It's always something like that. It's like a gag on certain gifts that people normally give children that, yeah, by and large probably would hurt, sting, or whatever. But it's just part of it. I mean, like, obviously it's not cool. Nowadays you want to make sure like you kind of baby proof things. It makes sense. Kid is gonna hurt himself if, like, especially on corners or sockets or stuff like that. It's kind of like obvious, but I like the joke on that. I really do. But Dracula's very concerned, making sure that you know, you know, uh, will this kid get his vampire powers? When's those vampire powers coming in? He's checking his gums to make sure, like, the fangs are popping out at all. But it's like, maybe it's trying to, tell him, like, if he gives vampire powers, he'll eventually get them. But I just love my kid, and it shouldn't really matter if he's human. I don't care. And it shouldn't matter to you either. Like, oh, no, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just, just checking. And you get to see this funny moment when it's like, Dennis says his first word, like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Like, then it's like, don't say blah blah blah. Well, you kind of do say it. I only say it when I'm telling people don't say it. It's just, I love, that's probably one of my favorite parts. It's like so doggone funny because they really, I don't know if they continue on with that joke. I imagine that does get tiresome after a while, but I still love it in the first two. Uh, uh, Anytime like Dracula's like alone with the kid, he's trying to make sure like he's trying to like, force the powers out of him, and because eventually the boy get a little bit older, and it's just this funny scene where it's like you know like can you show vampire? He calls himself a vampire grandpa. Uh, it's funny, little word combos with vampires. It's like in this film. It's so doggone funny. Uh, uh, he's trying to tell Dennis like, can you show vampire that you can turn into a bat? Like, I'm a bat. I'm a bat. I'm a bat. No, no, I mean like a real bat. It's just not a chicken, a bat. Like, and then it's like another funny moment when it's like, Dennis, start, doing this, like dances and stuff like that. Like, what is that? The funky chicken. If I bust a move, will you turn to a bat for me? And then it's like a song. Uh, Crap. What's that song called? It was like I love that freaking song because it was played on. The song played on the first Deadpool movie. I'm blank on it. I don't know why I'm blank on it right now. What is that doggone song? Flow Rider, Going Down for Real. That was the song. And it's like you see like this like cool scene where it's really funny, where like Dracula just busted a move and like his cape, kind of like Doctor Strange's cloak of levitation, where he moves on his own, or like the cover from Aladdin, where it's like the cape was kind of like his hype man is like doing this like as like Dracula's just like breakdancing, and it's just so doggone funny. I love that scene. That's is easily one of my favorite scenes. And so Dracula gets like a lot of laughs, from these films. I mean, at least for the first two films, that are the only ones I've seen. And man, it gets me every time. It's so good. And Maeve's, was just overprotective, but she has an arc where it's like, when like she goes to visit Johnny's family, I'm kind of speeding ahead, but she has her own arc. I'll get to it in a moment. But during like one of the kids' party, what was it? What was it? Well, it was some kind of gathering. I can't remember who it was, but Dracula kind of like pushes kind of too far, trying to get force the powers to come out when Mavis just like had it. It's like 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 you have to accept my son for who he is, vampire or not, and she's considering like moving to California with Johnny, just so, because the fact that since her son might not be a vampire, might just be a normal human, living in the hotel with all these monsters and everything like that might be too dangerous for him. So being human is probably best to live amongst humans. with my son. And that freaks Draco out, because like he loves his daughter, and he loves his grandson, and he's like want them around close by him, and the fact that they're gonna be going overseas, this guy freaks him out. So convincing, if like his thinking, like, okay, once he's like talking with his friend Frankenstein, I was like, if I spend more time with if Dennis spend more time with other monsters and see us how we do our thing, maybe that kind of forces, and that like seeing that will convince his powers to manifest, if like he's just by proxy. So he convinces, like, maybe it's like, okay, why don't you and Johnny check the place out and everything like that, and besides, it's been a while since you two has, because that's another thing with Johnny, where it's like, he hasn't spent like any alone time since Dennis' birth, which is a nice commentary on like, new parents, where it's like, they're so fixated on like the kid, they rarely have like alone time together like that. So, just to kind of work like a win-win situation, okay, I will, well, like, okay, I'll make sure Johnny has some alone time, because Johnny doesn't want to leave either. He loves the hotel. He's the human relations manager for the hotel, where the help, like, like a bridge between like the humans and ease their way to be comfortable around monsters in this hotel, so they can be like a co-ed type of style of a hotel where everybody's welcome. So Drago's plan, make sure like Johnny Keys May's distracted. They get their alone time together, but he's making sure that she hates it there, so that way she doesn't feel the need to go there in the first place. Kind of like a Plan B scenario. But while he has Dennis in his care, he's going on his little road trip, trying to with him and his friends, trying to get them to help release his inner monster. There's just like it doesn't, I was about to say running joke, but it doesn't run that long. But it's like a joke with the Invisible Man, where it's like at the start of the wedding and at the hotel, where it's like where's your date? Oh, see, what are you talking about? She's right here. Like, this is so beautiful. And everybody knows it's not buying it. It was like, and then it's like a moment outside of the hotel when they was about to like drive off, and he holding two champagnes, and all his friends just staring at him. It's like, like, don't cry, honey. Have some champagne. Dumped it on the ground. It's like, we're not gonna say anything. It's like, it's like, just let it play out. But then it's like, all right, I won't call him on this. It's like, no, we don't have time for zingers. Okay. It's like, God, it's like, I love that. That was like, oh my God, it cracks me up. And it's like, just seeing that, just like, oh, God, it's so cringy. It's just this, they're just watching just this fake relationship just play out in front of them, and it's like, I gotta say something. This is too embarrassing. It's like, no, just let it be. It's like he'll tire himself out. But they go on this road trip, and like he's trying to get like have Dennis watch Frankenstein and Werewolf and the Mummy do their thing. Frankenstein trying to scare these joggers. Joggers are like fangirling out over Frankenstein, so they're taking selfies and stuff like that. And then the Wolfman trying to like take down Joggers telling the Werewolf like, take down a deer. Like, I haven't done this since I was a kid. Like, we don't need to do that anymore. We have Pop-Tarts. And it's like and it's like he's so out of practice, and he sees like a frisbee go by, and like he's fighting over it with a dog, and it's like it was like a funny moment when it's like, instead of roaring, it's like, growl. Like, did you actually say the word growl? Like I told you, I was rusty. And then like you had the mummy, like something like a used sandstorm, and it's like doing all these little seance things and doing this goofy dance. The fight, despite being like a fat mummy, and he cracks his back and he only summons this pile of sand, this one small pile of sand that Dennis turns into like a sandman or snowman, but sand. And it's like Dracula's last ditch effort is taking him to his old camp that he used to go to that hones his vampire powers. But now that turns into a very safe space type of camp now. The camp counselor is Dana Carvey, which is funny. I did not realize that was Dana Carvey. He's very good with the impressions. He's so good. Uh, uh, then you guys, it's kind of like T-ball, but it's a little, instead of like trying to chase down a mouse, they put the mouse on a little stick T-ball thing, and they trying to just grab it off the thing, and just like Dracula is just annoyed by this. Like, what the hell happened? And I was like, it's kind of like participation kind of bull crap, and it's just so funny. And it's like one kid, it's like literally struggling to, trying to, he's not struggling, but just too terrified to take the mouse off the little stick thing. And like Dracula's like, just grab the thing, it's right there. It's like, and like, it's so doggone, it's hilarious. And he's just having none of it. It's like, F this camp. Like, and it's like he sees this tall rinky-dink type of tower thing that he as a kid he used to, him and other campers used to jump off of to learn how to fly, kind of sink or swim situation. But they abandoned the entire thing considering how dangerous it is. But you're vampires, you don't have to worry about falling to your death. You're gonna be alive, because it's not the same thing as stake through the heart or sunlight. Secondly, if you didn't want anybody climbing on this doggone thing, why don't you just bulldoze the entire situation so nobody won't be tempted? That's another thing. But Dracula drags his buddies and his grandson on top of the tower, and just sink or swim kind of situation. Like, don't worry, I'm here. Like, I'm not gonna let anything bad happen to you. Now here we go, we and just tosses that little boy, just like, holy shit. He tosses a 5-year-old boy off top of a tower, and like his friends is just in horror, just looking over, like, oh my god, like, you gotta go get him. He's gonna be all right. He's gonna fall to his death. It's gonna be an insignificant. Okay, maybe he's not gonna do it. And then he just flies down, catches him in the last second. Of course, all the kids at the camp film the entire thing. The counselor is like, furious. And it's like, it's like I don't call the I need to call the parents right away. And then like thanks to Frankenstein, he sets the camp ablaze. Realizing that because the kids like posted in this little goofy little song thing on the internet, well, at least the fall, but then also like do a remix of like Vlad's little part of Vlad's conversation. I don't say Vlad. Vlad is in this. Dracula's father, Vlad, after like Vlad the Impaler, which was voiced by Mel Brooks. But Dracula, after getting a call from Mavis after she saw the viral video of her son falling off the tower. She like says I'm coming right home, and so now they have to book it back home, even though like it takes them forever because they had like a buddy of them, Blobby, pretty much like I think supposed to be based off the Thing from the movie, but it's kind of just like just doesn't say anything, but just like a just speechless, blob monster, just like this dopey thing, but it's just like kind of cool in a way too. It's just funny, just certain characters that doesn't have any speaking roles usually be the funniest things, or at least the best part. But they end up losing him halfway towards the campsite, but he comes back, with this little this moped type of thing, but the thing is, like, because there's so many of them, they're not going to pick up any kind of speed, so they use Bobbly as like a big airbag that kind of blow up and is like use it as like a extra push, like a thruster, to get them to the hotel quick. And Mavis beats them by seconds. There's a funny little moment when she's trying to get the airline to get them onto like the quickest airline back to Transylvania, and it's like you could tell this is Dracula's daughter, because this little scary vampire face thing that they do when they're really like their monstrous form kind of situation, when they're extremely mad. And it's like, yeah, that's Dracula's daughter. When like the person behind the desk won't connect it to like a faster flight, and she just frustrated and just vampiring it up in front of her face. This is completely unfazed. This person, like, she's seen all kind, like really, like, that doesn't faze you. You seen it all, huh? You seen it all, lady. Like, you dealt with every kind of angry passenger, but you obviously dealt with a vampire, obviously, before, that you managed to just piss off. Luckily she doesn't rip your throat out. I'm like, my God. You think like a woman on natural circumstances are angry or like just enraged if something happens to their kid? Imagine that on like a vampire mother. Like, my God. But anyway, Dracula trying to play off like, we was here this whole time. What are you talking about? And then she showed them the music video the kids made of him, which is like a funny little thing. Like, crazy cuckoo. You can look it up. It's funny as hell. But she was livid. So it's like, okay, after, Dance's 5th birthday party, next day we're moving to California. And that's it. Because you clearly are irresponsible and you just can't accept your own grandson. And it's just this line that she mentions, you may have accepted humans into your hotel, but you haven't accepted them into your heart. And it's like it's playing on like prejudice. I mean, like, these first two movies, well, I think all movies, because I think, I've seen clips of the other ones, but it's like the running theme is, in these films, it's pretty solid. It plays on almost different variations of prejudice, and they're using like monsters and humans as like the allegories to like racism in a way, and I think that's very, very crafty. That was very good. And like Vlad, and Dracula, who is afraid of humans being prejudiced against him, he's prejudiced against his own grandson a little bit, because he's more fixated on like the vampire half than his whole in genetics. Then Dracula realized that Mavis also invited her grandpa Grandpa Vlad to Dennis's 5th birthday party, but Dracula's like freaking out because like he's telling Johnny, like, you think like I have a hard time with humans? You do not want my father anywhere around humans. He will kill you guys. And it's like awesome that Mel Brooks does the voice for Vlad, I guess the original Dracula. But he has these like man bat sized minions in this cave, and his like main bat creature is named Bella, after Bela Lugosi. Uh, and like they accepted the invitation and like heading towards the hotel. And he's completely critical of everybody. Everybody's freaking out and like intimidated by him because he's like the OG. And like everybody's trying to stall for time as like, you know, you know, Johnny's disguised as like a Dracula or like a very stereotypical old school Dracula. The one looks like what like what's his name from who plays Jim Gordon in like the Nolan movies. Ah, crap. Gary Oldman, yeah, because Gary Oldman, you know, like, they have Johnny dressed as like Gary Oldman's version of Dracula back in the day, and it's very like silly looking. But you know, when they, it's funny how they like looking at that and thinking like, God, it's like so like, what the hell are you wearing? It's so doggone funny. You have to see it for yourself just to see the context of it, but it is just like hilarious. But yeah, Vlad, seems like, oh, my grandson's like a late fanger. Yeah, it's just the same thing as my own son. What you gotta do is like take someone he loves and terrify him with it. So there's like a funny scene where it's shown early in the movie that like Dennis like this cartoon show, this puppet show, and it's like you get this like this cake monster, kind of like very like Sesame Street type of character, Cakey the Cake Monster, and like Vlad turns him into like a very monstrous form, even though it's like a guy in a costume. He turns him into like a monstrous form, trying to freak the kid out, but Dracula intervenes to stop it, and then Vlad realizes Johnny and his family are human, and like his grandson is part human, or great grandson is part human, and it's like he has certain prejudice, and obviously, and then because like this erupts into this big family fight, Dennis walks out with Winnie. They get attacked by like Bella and his bats until like when Winnie gets hurt, then his vampire powers manifest. The family comes out. They all fight off these bats. Vlad helps too, and like comes to understand like since humans help stand up for my great grandson and the monsters of this hotel, maybe like he had a change of heart. Like maybe like humans are not too bad. And like the movie ends with like them deciding to stay, and and it's just like a happy ending all around. What I'm kind of on the fence of, cause it's kind of corny with the whole family fight thing, and it feels like, I won't say cliche, but it's like just goofy, and it's like kind of corny in a way. It's like the kid's all badass now with the vampire powers, like look at me go. But it wasn't that. It's just the fact that part of me kind of wishes that like no, like maybe you should just like it would have been more cool of them to go with the route of just keeping him like a human. But then again, maybe when I first saw it, maybe I was a little bit more glad that he was, actual vampire by the end of it. Well, of course he's half vampire, but actually full fledged with the vampire teeth and everything like that. So now it's like, I don't know, I'm a little bit in between. I'm glad we got this kind of ending, but I would had also just as respected if they would have gone the other way with it, and because that would probably easily circumvent like expectation, because it's something that we would easily had assumed this was gonna be the end result, that all his trying he still hasn't gotten his vampire powers. But of course, by the end of it, it pops up. But it would have been more of like a ballsy act if they kept like, okay, he's gonna be a human, and maybe the next one he shows the vampire powers. I would have respected that. It would have been like a very cool circumvention of the expectations. But yeah, that's my. I mean, I enjoyed this movie. Like I said, like the first two Hotel Transylvania movies are rock solid. I just think like they haven't maintained that moving forward, because like I mentioned in my previous video with Hotel Transylvania 1, they after 2 they fall into that same cartoonist trope that every cartoon movie is doing. It's the same thing with like Jim Carrey's The Grinch, or not Jim Carrey's The Grinch, Benedict Cumberbatch's Grinch, the cartoon one that came out a couple years ago, where it's like zigzaggy fast movements instead of like, a very unique kind of style, so it doesn't seem like they're watching the same thing. It's very Teen Titans Go-ish, where it's like goofy fast movements with little story. And it's like a lot of people love Steven Universe. I'm not into it. I don't like that color. I'm gonna say not the color, but it's just, I don't like that animation style. I mentioned in my review of the DC Fandom 2021, where they show that little snippet of the Aquaman cartoon, and I know it's not meant for me, but that animation style was ugly to me. But it should not. I mean, there's certain cartoons that I grew up with that probably wouldn't be meant for my father or my other adult relatives at that time when I was a kid, but they still sat with me, and like they found some enjoyment out of it because it was smart cartoon writing. Because I think like back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, there was creators that was trying stuff, and it's like, but there was like, they don't just doing stuff just to do it. They was like, they had an idea and they wanted to like, really like stretch their creative muscles. It's like nowadays it seems like anybody with an idea, they just like, okay, I got the budget, let me just do what I want. Or it's like do what I want without any substance. And it's, like when you watch Powerpuff Girls, there's like a story there. It's an episodic story, but there's story there. It makes it memorable. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure like Steven Universe has some memorable moments for a lot of people. I'm not going to knock it entirely, because I think it has some smart writing. I just never really got into it. But it's just certain cartoons this day and age, it's like lackluster for me. I remember when I was a kid, my father used to watch Johnny Bravo with me, and he had like a kick out of watching that. Rugrats, I was watching it with my grandparents and aunt and my father. They got they found some enjoyment out of Rugrats. Hey Arnold, it's like they weren't just cartoons just for cartoons' sake. They told a story in animation form. It wasn't zigzaggy fast movements just to keep us distracted either. That's the thing. And it's like I'm disappointed with certain creators nowadays where it's kind of like it feels lazy. That's the word. It kind of feels lazy. Not all of them, but a fair amount nowadays feels lazy. And I don't know what it is behind the scenes where it feels like Teen Titans Go is like a perfect example. It's like, what are y'all doing? Whereas like the original Teen Titans cartoon told an overarching story, sometimes episodic, but an overarching story. Now it's like new kids today, new animation style, zigzaggy fun movements, keep your kids distracted while you get high in the backyard. Because why watch cartoons with your kids nowadays? And it's like actually tell like a compelling story. And because I remember there's not only Hey Arnold was fun episodic watch, but you remember certain story arcs, like a Christmas episode where because Hey Arnold lived in this apartment, kind of like like a duplex that his grandparents ran and was the landlords of, and there was a tenant named Mr. Nguyen, who's Vietnamese, told it was during Christmas when he felt lonely because he doesn't feel like his family not around, but the only person he knew that should be around was his daughter that he had to give up to get out of Vietnam when he was younger because it was so dangerous and there's no way they was going to take both of them. So the army military took the baby and he had to find another way to get to America, but he never knew where his child was until I say Hey Arnold. He has a last name we don't know until like the movie that came out like 5 or so years ago. But I say Hey Arnold. So Hey Arnold did some research and found Mr. Nguyen's daughter, and like as like a perfect Christmas gift above all like any Christmas gift he could have gotten him, he found the man's long lost daughter and reunited them. To this day, I still remember that cartoon. That episode is probably one of my favorite episodes of Hey Arnold to this day. I mean, there's other ones like Halloween specials and stuff like that, of course, and like stoop kids gonna leave a stoop, and then like the homeless like bird keeper guy on the roof and stuff like that. But that one in particular stood out for me above all else. I'm pretty sure you get some things like that from Steven Universe because like there's like lesbian type of relationship with like two of the characters, and that's cool. But Teen Titans Go and certain other cartoons, I honestly do not think like any kid will get anything like that out of those kind of cartoons. I honestly believe that. It's few and far between. Like Steve Universe might be the exception to the rule, but it's so few and far in between as far as like cartoons of today, and it kind of saddens me. That's just my take on it. But I'm off on a tangent here. But I'm just like, but anyway, that's Hotel Transylvania 2. It's a solid watch, very fun. Like and like it actually told like a good theme here. It's like I did not realize it. And sometimes you don't realize it until like you have to rewatch it, multiple times, or at least like pay attention to certain dialogue or like the more underlining themes here, because it took me a minute to realize they were like playing to the idea of prejudice, but with monsters and humans, and it's brilliant writing. It's really good. And like the director of these Hotel Transylvania movies, Jenny Tarakovsky. He sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure he did other shows. Yeah, I knew he sounded familiar. He did like other shows that I enjoyed over the years. Powerpuff Girls he did like a lot. Cow and Chicken, Dexter's Laboratory, The Critic, a very older cartoon animated show. Two Stupid Dogs. I remember Two Stupid Dogs. He helped with certain episodes of Batman animated series, Tiny Toon Adventures, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Billy and Mandy, Duck Dodgers, Samurai Jack, Flintstones, On the Rocks, but it's like a television film. But yeah, he does also some stuff, some Steven Universe. So yeah, like it makes sense, why that, he's the main reason why, a lot of cartoons that, I, grew up with had some smart storytelling. He was like the trailblazer, at least one of them. So like he just like, he's definitely an awesome dude. I mean, like I would love to work with that guy in some voiceover work. It's like, honestly, man, he's like a trailblazer, like literally like one of the founders of cartoons that I grew up loving. Honestly, man, oh my god, honestly, he like, you know, he doesn't. I don't think he does get enough praise, man. Like that is solid storytelling. I'm not sure what's going on with like the sequels though, but you know, yeah. So it's only been like so yeah, it's actually technically what, one, two, three, four. So they're supposed to be making a fourth one that's supposed to be coming out directly to Amazon Prime Video on January 14th next year, and very close actually. I always thought it was already, they were working on the fifth one. It seems like it made so many Hotel Transylvania movies, but uh, the last one uh, is going to be called Hotel Transylvania Transformania. So if you want me to do Transylvania 3, uh, please leave a comment below. And like at some point, maybe I'll get to it, maybe for like next Halloween. But yeah, honestly, the first two are solid movies. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Follow me on my Patreon, patreon.com/talkativecarl. All the links are in the description. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. It's already late right now. I'll see you guys tomorrow when I do my review for the Wolfman. What else? It's like and Wolfman Nightmare Before Christmas, and my next comic book review of Batman: The Long Halloween. I figure it would be like ideal to do that. One of my favorite Batman stories around this time for Halloween. So I'll get those three done tomorrow, or at least later today. It's already technically tomorrow. So look forward to that. So I'll see you guys soon. Take care.